Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. So today on the channel, I'm going to tell you guys the truth about YouTube, man. This one might get me in trouble. You're going to want to stick around. We're going to talk about why they removed the dislike button. We're going to talk about what is the deal with this whole metaverse and how do all of these things weave into the inevitable austere dystopian future. Let's get to it.
A few minutes later.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you everything in this video, guys. Now listen, we know that Facebook got rid of the dislike button a long time ago. Why did they get rid of it? Well, they got rid of it because they found that they could make more money and keep people on the platform longer if they got rid of it. If you can make it a net positive experience for both the people who are posting content and the consumers of that content, people are going to be happier on the platform and they're going to stay on there longer. They're going to watch more ads and you're going to make more money. That's what it boils down to. And that's the exact same reason why YouTube is doing it. However, this has the effect of conveniently aligning with the dystopian future that awaits. What do I mean by that? Well, wouldn't it be very convenient if in the future you had no way to vocalize your discontent for anything or for an opinion that you didn't like, because there was simply no mechanism that you could do that. And because nobody goes outside anymore, people don't engage in social conversation in the way they did maybe 100 years ago. Well, that's pretty much our only means of expressing discontent now and democratically showing our consensus that we don't like a certain thing. So who's going to benefit from this? Well, things that suck are going to benefit from this. Now, YouTube is claiming that they're doing this because they don't want people to have hurt feelings if they get dislike bombed and they get ratioed. Well, a lot of times those ratios are because people actually dislike either what's being said in the video or they dislike the people who are making the video in the first place. They don't trust the source of that information, which is the same reason why you have a rating system on Amazon. You want to know what's crap and what's not. So if you see a 1-star rating and there's 100 reviews on it, you know that that's certifiable crap. And you know that if there's a 5-star rating, well, you really don't now because of all the people who are gifted stuff to give positive reviews. It was a good barometer for whether or not what's being said in the video is worth watching to some degree, not all the time, because the consensus, the majority, is not always right, okay? The majority can be very tyrannical and wrong, but most of the time, that thumbs up and thumbs down bar was a metric for what we, the people, thought of the content in question. Now, if there's an unpopular opinion, it's going to be impossible to gauge on the basis of just seeing the likes. You can look at the view counts. You might see 1 million views on a video and there might only be 50 likes. So you might be able to infer, okay, there's 1 million views, only 50 likes. Clearly people don't like this video that much. But it's not as clear cut as when you see the thousands and thousands of thumbs down, like we have been seeing on a lot of mainstream media platforms lately, if you know what I'm saying. So we know that there is a practical utility to having a dislike button, in spite of the fact that this is a relatively new thing that's only come about really in the last, 15 years since social media has been around, that we've had the capability to rank things and do it democratically and universally. You couldn't do that in the 50s and 60s and 70s. Nobody was complaining about their inability to do it. But because the internet started as this open source thing where everybody could do whatever they wanted, it was the wild, wild west, and now we're seeing increasingly more and more and more regulations that just happen to coincide with the dystopian future that is waiting for us with open arms in the metaverse. Okay, so drum roll please. We live in a society that when faced with disaster, we are completely blindsided. Okay, what happened in March 2020? For the longest time, there's nothing to worry about, just be happy, thumbs up everything, don't close the borders, everything's gonna be fine. All of a sudden, March 2020 rolls around, pandemic, market crashes, the shizzy hits the fizzy. And everybody's like, well, We never knew. How could we have known that this was going to happen? Well, you could have known if you were looking at reality clearly, like we were all trying to tell you at that point in time, but nobody was. So this is what happens. We live in this happy-whoring, happy-mongering society. Yes, happy-mongering. That's a term that I'm going to coin. I've used that term for years, but not really officially like I'm doing today. But happy-mongering is far worse than fear-mongering, okay? And the reason why is this. Because when you are being overly optimistic, you're painting an overly optimistic view of the world. When the proverbial shizzy actually hits the fizzy, you're not going to know how to deal with it, okay? You're not going to be equipped mentally, physically, and definitely you're not going to be prepared for it because you don't think anything bad can ever happen. So in removing the dislikes, it basically is a way to control the narrative in a subtle way. Now, I'm not saying that that's what the intention is with YouTube. YouTube is doing this to appease investors, appease various brands which might want to make commercials that are masquerading as legit videos. Like I just seen one on the trending page with Justin Bieber and Tim Hortons. Like how the hell did that get on the trending page? Come on, man. You're telling me that the demographic that goes and buys Tim Hortons coffee actually gives two shizzies about Justin Bieber and his really generic, industry-driven, creatively devoid music? I don't think so. It's no surprise that every time there's a new iPhone release, that entire trending page is just plastered with advertisements for that phone in the form of reviews. Instead of pretending like we're doing this to protect the few 1 in a million people's feelings that might get hurt because they get click bombed, now you're just basically saying, okay, you can't leave a dislike, so we're going to encourage you to go and write a really nasty comment in the comment section. So really, it's not there to make people feel better, because all it's going to do is force the trolls into the comment section to get more up close and personal and more inside very vulnerable, sensitive people's heads. So that's not what the reason is. The reason is to make some money. That just happens to coincide with the dark dystopian future that awaits us with open arms. Yay! So let's talk about that for a second. Why, oh why, is it so convenient that people cannot voice their discontent about something when things are getting progressively shittier and shittier? Seems pretty convenient to me. From a disproportionately socioeconomically unstable, widening wealth gap, complete destruction of the environment and everything else in between, it seems pretty convenient that we can't say, I don't like that, and I don't agree with your perspective, your view of the world, this view of the world that you're giving me, I don't think it's true, so I'm going to dislike it. But oh, we can't see how many of us are disliking it. And they know that that's social proof, the power of consensus validity, even though it's technically a logical fallacy to rely solely on consensus validity, because just because 1,000 people believe something doesn't necessarily mean it's true. However, it might inspire people and give people a little bit of hope to know that yes, hundreds if not thousands of people agree that this is complete 100% bullshit. And what's more, if you have somebody that is actually communicating bad ideas that are bad for society, you're not going to be able to see that that was rejected by society. So the only people who win at this are the people who suck. And unfortunately, that's very convenient as we move into austerity. Not that it's really amounted to a whole lot anyways, but if I was a tyrannical panoptical overlord who could watch everybody, but they could not watch me, what you've basically done here is you've significantly reduced the possibility that people are going to unite around alternative viewpoints. And the reason why is because that dislike bar inspires people to know that their ideas are shared with others. And if they don't have any way to express their discontent or their distrust with whatever is being said, then they're probably just going to give up or go on and do something else. With this move, what you're now going to do is create even deeper, more entrenched echo chambers, because nobody's going to be able to see that people disagree with their side. So they're just going to presume that everybody agrees with them. If all you're seeing is the likes on a highly contested hot button issue, your brain is going to assume that everybody believes in it, and it's going to tacitly presume and essentially just forget that a lot of people are disliking this video, don't agree with it, but don't have that power. We've been neutered our ability to dislike the hellish future that is coming. That's the best way I can put it. How would you put this in a work of art? You'd basically just put the world going to hell in a handbasket with a thumbs up beside it. That could be a piece of art right there. In some kind of art gallery, you know, you threw a bunch of stuff on the ground, some old masks, and you had some burnt up trees, some depleted uranium here and there with just a big giant statue of a thumbs up right in the middle of it. Okay, so now let's talk about this metaverse thing. So I picked up some VR glasses, Oculus. I was playing Resident Evil 4, okay? And this thing blew my mind. Had I waited till Cyberpunk 2030 rolled around, you know, the dirty 30s that are coming, my head probably would have exploded at how good the graphics and how immersive the experience is going to be, okay? You're walking around, you have a grenade right here, you have your knife right here, you got your frickin' first aid and herbs up here, you got your side piece right here, you got your main gun right here, and all of the gestures are just so incredibly fluid. And you find yourself making these mistakes in the game, like wanting to lean on a virtual table in the game and almost falling over. And the reason why I wanted to check it out is because, okay, admittedly, I wanted to see how cool it was going to be. And it was definitely cool. However, I ain't no sucker, all right? I know exactly where this is going, and I've been talking about it for years. But as a content creator, I cannot alienate myself from this kind of technology. Even though I might loathe TikTok for how it's reducing people's attention spans and making people even more and more shallow, I still have to be able to vet the medium because it's what we have to do in order to stay with the times. So to get ahead of the curve, I tried it out. And I can tell you that the future is looking pretty damn scary. We talked about on this channel before about how the goal in the future is essentially to have everybody inside. You notice how people's yards are progressively getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and everybody's downsizing to condos and apartments. And we don't need a yard anymore. What do you need a yard for, right? We'll build you a tall skyscraper, we'll throw some grass on top, and you can pretend that you're in nature all day. We're gonna blow your guys' minds today, all right? In the future, you're not gonna need to own a whole lot, because everything is just going to be so transient. Why own a car when it's cheaper to get a self-driving car to pick you up and take you anywhere you need to go? Why own a house when it's probably going to be cheaper to couch hop on Airbnb? Possessions are just going to be a burden, and you're really not going to need them because you're going to have the metaverse and you're going to spend the majority of your life in there. Once we figure out how to trick your taste buds into believing that this pig slop that we're going to feed you tastes like chicken, all bets are off. You plug that into your rear end and we're good to go. The only reason right now Elon Musk and his boys are building bunkers on Mars, and I call them bunkers because that's essentially what they are when you understand what it's all about, is as a failsafe in case some big asteroid hits us or we all destroy ourselves. Has nothing to do with space exploration, because here's the kicker. The metaverse, virtual reality, inner space is the final frontier, because you can create anything in inner space in combination with virtual reality, artificial intelligence, neuroscience, Neuralink, knitting it all together with some sort of cyborg-like contraption. You can pretty much go anywhere and do anything. You don't need to invest all the energy to travel across the cosmos for what? For an experience that you can basically trick your mind into thinking that you're going to have. And we're going to get to that point far quicker than we're going to get to Andromeda. So the whole Mars thing and space exploration, people are going to start to realize in the next few decades that it's kind of silly in a way, because in order to get to another planet in the first place, it's going to be habitable, no less. That's going to be better than this one. Okay, I mean, the odds are just so low. It's going to take us so long to be able to do that. It's not even worth our time. But this multiverse thing, This is the first leg of something new, and it all coincides with everything else that's going on right now so conveniently as we enter these austere times and everybody is forced to downsize. It's not going to matter. It's going to be like Ready Player One. Everybody's living in some dingy ass trailer park, but the reality that you're experiencing, the augmented or virtual reality you're experiencing, is going to seem heavenly. You're probably going to have some neck strain. You're probably going to have some vision problems. But just like cell phones, which everybody thought were cancerous for the first 10 years, we'll all get used to it. We'll all acquiesce. Now get ready for this, okay? The multiverse is just the first step. You guys remember drive-in movies? You probably don't. Neither do I really. I think I seen one when I was a kid, one of the last ones standing. Basically, the drive-in, you're in a car, the screen is as far away from you as it could possibly be. Then you move to movie theaters. Then they were able to get a TV inside your home. Then they were able to get the screen on a phone that you could hold right in front of your face. Now they're going to have the screen right up against your face. What's next? It's into the brain. Because as Elon Musk said, the latency is drastically limited by your ability to have to push this thing with your, what he calls meat sticks. The whole idea is that you can do it far faster and far more efficiently if there is just simply a hard wire right to your brain. And once you get people into this metaverse, the next logical step is some form of invasive technology, which is going to claim to give you some kind of superpowers. It's going to help you get into the metaverse faster. It's going to help you order food faster. It's going to help make life easier. At the same time, and unknowingly, you are now going to be locked into this new global monetary paradigm. And this is not some conspiracy, guys. This is just the natural trajectory of cryptocurrencies. It's a natural trajectory of artificial intelligence, quantum computing, virtual reality, nanotechnology, self-driving everything, robotics, automation. It's all pointing in that direction. And where does the self-reliant homesteader prepper lie? Well, you know where they lie. They're in District 12 hunting deer because their rations were withheld because they didn't produce enough, I don't know, whatever. Who knows what they're going to have us doing in the future? What sort of virtual work we're going to have to do. So the work is going to move inside the brain. And this whole thing, conveniently, okay, this whole thing in the last 2 years has got everybody trained to stay inside and talk to each other virtually. Now, I'm not saying that it was planned that way, okay? I don't think it was necessarily planned that way. I just think that we're on this natural trajectory towards that end. And at some point in time, there's going to have to be a choice between the Terrans and the cyborgs, or the cosmists, as Hugo de Garis calls them. I did a whole video on the coming war between Terrans and cosmists. People who want to integrate into the machine and people who want to be pure blood Earthlings, Terrans. So you have these two groups. Now, the cosmists and the cyborgs are going to drastically outweigh the Terrans. The Terrans are going to be a very, very small minority of people at the end of all of this. There's only going to be a few people left in a few decades who are really holding it down on the homesteading front. Now, I personally believe that you should not let technology run away from you so much that you don't know how to work a remote control when you're 80 years old. I don't want to be that old man who all the kids are poking fun at when he's 80 years old because he can't calibrate the neural virtual interface doodad or the latest rendition thereof. I want to be the guy who knows what it's about, who knows the technology through and through, but is also not a slave to it. That's the person I want to be. It's always good to know your enemy. So that's why this is all happening, guys. This is a natural trajectory of evolution. We are doomed to become slaves to the panoptical idiocracy, and that's why we prep, so that we have a choice to be a part of it or not. As for YouTube, it's just business as usual, man. In fact, YouTube has done a damn good job at maintaining people's interests on this platform. If you guys go and you look at the trending feed, there's a reason why it is. There's a reason why it is geared towards the youth. You want to know why? Okay, I'll tell you why. Because you need a constant influx of new viewers. Who are your new viewers? Well, they're the kids that are watching the YouTube videos with the little monkey and the chickens and the cat. You guys seen these videos, BB and his friends? It's insane how many millions and billions of views these kids' videos are getting. They are being started that young. So that when the old people finally bounce off of YouTube, you have a constantly new influx. It doesn't matter to cater to old school doomers like me on the trending page. Why? Because they know they got us. We're locked in already. They don't need to cater us anymore. They got to cater to the youth because those are the new customers. Okay, nobody talks about this. I've been talking about this for a while within my own circles, that this is the recipe, and this is why Google stays on top. This is why they cannot be taken out by TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, because they know the recipe. The recipe is to get them while they're young, okay? And you get them while they're young, and that way you have a constant influx of new participants. That's how the game is played, baby. But if you know that, it's empowering. And now you know that. Now you know how the game works. The worst thing you can do, in my opinion, is completely alienate yourself from the inevitable future that awaits. And then once you are in it, you are going to be at an extreme disadvantage. At least know your enemy by understanding the technology, understanding how it works. If anything, be a pioneer in it in certain ways. Now let's talk about the positives. Maybe this whole metaverse virtual reality thing is going to bring even more immersive emergency preparedness content. It could. You know, I've thought long and hard about how I can utilize 360 cameras and virtual reality in order to make my videos more engaging when I'm out there in the field. I have so many ideas for how we could potentially integrate this technology into what we do. So I don't think that it needs to be black or white. We need to be we're in or we're out. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, because I've rambled on long enough. And we are going to be doing another video on the Think Preparedness YouTube channel dropping next week, where we talk about everything and everything in between everything else. So stick around for that, guys. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And I guess by the time this video is out, you're probably not going to be able to dislike it. But that doesn't mean you can't still like it. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe. Canadian Prepper out.
The best way to support this channel is to support yourself by getting your survival supplies at CanadianPreparedness.com. There you'll find high-quality survival gear at the best prices that has been thoroughly vetted by myself and other YouTube gear reviewers. Use discount code PREPPINGGEAR for 10% off. Stay safe and stay ready.